Good morning. So welcome to Banix Smart. So we'll discuss in today's topic. So India's bullishness, which is being called by others, is not like that. It is India's humble attitude to be the elder brother in the region of South Asia. Because India has some advantages geographically, economically, politically, technologically, culture-wise, in almost all the domains. That made India to be considered as the senior most, so the elder lead among all. But this benevolence of India is being treated as or being branded as India's big brother attitude in a negative sense. And India is behaving in a bullish manner towards its neighbors. It is not in India's philosophy or tradition because we believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakam. So the entire universe is like our family, and all other countries and the people living there are our brothers and sisters in the global community of nations. This is India's philosophy, which India has been highlighting since the ancient period. But some factors are responsible to make India naturally, politically, economically, militarily bigger in this region. Let's discuss them. India is a vast country in terms of geographical size. Geographically very large area. So it is called the Indian subcontinent. Its geographical extent make India to be branded as Indian subcontinent. Economy, if you see, it is the fastest growing economy in the world. Fastest growing economy. And looking at its GDP, been in the post-pandemic period, we are the country which has witnessed the fastest recovery. If you look at the past, we are so rich that we face so many blunders in the ancient period. Almost all the blunderers they have an eye on India because of India's rich treasure. Economically, we are prosperous. Nature has given us plenty of natural resources, and our human resources has also been added to our natural resources to make India an economic power to be recognized in the world. Looking at the size of Indian economy, but looking at the growth potentiality, its growth potential is enormous, which has a very big prospect in future. That's why India is being looked by other countries of the world. Coming to military strength, so India's large military manpower and the present trend of modernization in the military has made India a military power to be recognized in the global domain. Why? So in the neighborhood, as it is being called, in the neighborhood, if you see, India is a very vast country in terms of geographical size, economic, and military might vis-a-vis its neighbors. Look at all its neighbors: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, Afghanistan. So in comparison to its neighbors, it is stronger in all the aspects. India's relation with its small neighbors have been showing sign of stress due to पैसा दे अरे जो बड़ा हल्का छी So let's see the reasons for leveling such charges against India. Fine. Why, if India is doing such noble work and doing it for humanitarian purpose, from crisis to time of plenty, then why such charges are leveled against India? Let's see the reasons behind that. First is the past issue of trade blockage in Nepal, which led to allegation that they were India-sponsored events. No, few Nepal was a monarchy. Subsequently, monarchy was abolished and Republican form of government was established over there. But the Madhesis were with the people of Indian origin. So who? Let us know the name. They are called as the Madhesis, who are staying in the Tarai region of Nepal, or that connects, that is close proximity to India. So the Madhesis are ill-treated by the new government in the new constitution when it came to power distribution. So that led to the blockades imposed by the Madhesis, because Nepal being a landlocked country, so essential supplies are supposed to move from Indian side to Nepal. And the blockage imposed by the Madhesis, the Tarai region, interrupted constant flow of supply to Nepal, putting the country into inconvenience. And the allegation was, so this blockade was supported by India, and even there is allegation that it was sponsored by India, because the people of Indian origin, the Madhesis, were at the forefront of this blockade. So India supported this blockade, which to some extent created an anti-Indian sentiment over there. You see, if you look at the history, so Nepal, most of the development of infrastructure from road to hydroelectricity are done by India. in the past when it was a monarchy. But once the Maoist came to power, after the change in political setup, the Maoist became very close to China on ideological ground. And an anti-Indian sentiment was developed in Nepal when the Maoist came to power. And in the same period when their closeness with China increased, they became more tilted towards the Chinese establishment because of their ideological affinity. Fine. So this is a major reason why. So Nepal put the allegation against India for behaving in a bullish way or putting pressure or making it a state to dance as per the Indian tune, which it is not supposed to be. Then Nepal also accuses India for meddling in the domestic politics, like support to Madhesis, as we discussed. Because India supported the Madhesis, but as per Nepal, Madhesi issue is the internal matter to be decided by their own country, not by any external mediation or support. And India's support to the Madhesis was not liked by the establishment in the country. Then they also put the allegation the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief effort during the earthquake. So it was more than a photo opportunity than the real help. So India supported with lot of materials, including rescue and relief in Nepal in the aftermath of the earthquake, but it was taken or projected in a different way by the establishment over there to blame India on this particular issue. Fine. This is the issue of Nepal. But this relationship deterioration is in the post Maoist power arrangement when monarchy was abolished and the political setup changed from monarchy to republic. Fine. Then second, then there is charges that India interferes in the domestic policy of other countries also, like the case of Sri Lanka. Okay. In Sri Lanka, so there are two ethnic groups. After Nepal, we can take the example of Sri Lanka, which is another region of this proving this allegation. Okay. In Sri Lanka, it is the native Sinhalese and the migrant Tamils of India from India. So, in the post-independent Sri Lanka, the Tamils in majority in the northeastern regions were not treated well, so that led India to interfere. Okay, and even the allegation is that India supported or patronized the Tamil militant group like the LTTE. Fine. And in the post LTTE destruction period, even the cause of the Tamils, so that it is called as the devolution of power to the Tamils. What it is called? This is popularly known as the devolution of power to the Tamils. Was a point of discussion by the government of India with the Sri Lankan government supporting the Tamil issue. We always supported them. Okay. And the India support to the United Nations Human Rights Council resolution on war crimes. Okay. When Sri Lankan government was alleged of committing human rights violation during the war against the LTT, the Tamil militant group. So India supported the resolution and it was alleged as an anti-Sri Lankan move by India, which are not liked by the people. But if you see in the present crisis in Sri Lanka, that is the background. If you look at the present crisis, at present, since 2022, beginning of 2022, so it is going through a crisis, Sri Lankan crisis. And the country which has come forward in the pandemic and post-pandemic period to the rescue of Sri Lanka is India. So during the pandemic, the vaccine, through the vaccine Maitri, and at present, the food, medicine, the line of control, line of credit, all provided by India to Sri Lanka. So the reality of the relationship between the two sides. Although during the good times, Sri Lanka put the allegation against India, but in the time of need, it is only India which came to its rescue at every time. So, but the reason is always that amidst all the support by India, the allegation against India is that India supported the cause of the Tamils. That's why there is the development of this particular feeling or anti-Indian feeling because of, let me write it down, Indian support to the Tamils and the devolution of power to the Tamils. Fine. Moving forward, the inaction of Pakistan and Myanmar against terrorist breeding ground in POK and Manipur borders led to surgical strike. Okay, India conducted surgical strike inside Pakistan. Even we conducted such surgical strike inside Myanmar. The difference between the surgical strike by India in POK as well as inside Myanmar. The difference is, so this was a big setback to Pakistan. But the surgical strike inside Myanmar territory was the support of the Myanmar establishment because this India-Myanmar border, a dense forest area, has turned to the breeding ground of the northeast insurgent groups, upon whom the Myanmar government was unable to take any action due to the inaccessibility of the area from its side. So they allowed Indian military to conduct surgical strike and destroy their training camps of the northeast. Whose training camps inside Myanmar? You can say it. Northeast Insurgent Group. So, because this Indian action had the tacit support of the Myanmar establishment, we never highlighted it. But in case of Pakistan, when we conducted a surgical strike, we highlighted it much because it was a lesson to Pakistan and it was unknown to Pakistan, a very surprise incident of Pakistan, and we are at advantage for such action that Indian military took inside the POK by destroying what they destroyed the terror training camps, and the terror launch pad in POK. Fine. So, in the case of Afghanistan also, so India, since Afghanistan returned to democracy after the Soviet withdrawal, so we supported the government there in almost all the activity from massive humanitarian support to creating infrastructure and investing in millions of dollars in their economic revival. But the present takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban militia has put all these investments at a big stake. Fine. So, if you consider these things, then India's policy towards our neighbors have been guided by the principle of Panchashila. As we know very well, Panchashila being the guiding principle of Indian foreign policy, our relation with the neighborhood is also always based on the principle of Panchashila. Non-interference in others' internal affairs and respect for each other's territorial unity and integrity and sovereignty. These two things, non-interference in internal affairs, respect for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the country, were the guiding principles in Indian foreign policy. So, if these two are Indian policy, part of Indian constitutional principle, and they have been well recognized around the world, so it cannot be said that the country hosting this principle is acting against this. Fine. So we can substantiate that what else have been done by India in the neighborhood. If you went back since the period of independence, many countries were created like Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc., with active Indian support of finance. Take example of Pakistan or take example of Bangladesh. These two countries were created by taking financial support from India. So how this is possible then? In the subsequent period, at times, so some country became develop a sense of animosity towards India. And again in the coming period, some of them become very friendly. Take the example of Bangladesh. After liberation, during the liberation war, it was India's active support that led to its independence. In the post-independent period, it tilted towards Pakistan. But at present, again the relationship with the two countries became very cordial. This is what. So for strengthening or starting and developing our relations with the neighboring country, we follow the Panchashila principle. Along with that, what else we supported is the Gujarat Doctrine. The Gujarat Doctrine was declared when Inder Kumar Gujral was on was the Prime Minister, and he published the Gujarat Doctrine. And this doctrine is for what? It is granting unilateral concession. What is the Gujarat Doctrine? Unilateral concession. Remember this? Without expecting reciprocity. From them. So A.K. Gujral at the Prime Minister, he declared the Gujarat Doctrine, we say that let India being the big in this neighborhood, almost all the aspect. So let it go for giving unilateral concessions to all the neighborhood countries, irrespective of expecting or irrespective of whether they reciprocate it or not, whether similar gesture is being advocated by them or not, without having any concern for that. So Gujarat Doctrine wants to provide unilateral concession, almost trade to other support. Let give them only to change their mind in future when they realize the reality of India's intention. Without any nefarious design, if a country helps the other, a time will come when that country will realize that that country's support to me was without any ill intention. Fine. So Gujarat doctrine sought to end. So look at this particular line. Gujarat doctrine sought to end India's endless contestation with neighborhood and offered a walk extra mile in resolving long-standing problems. This doctrine basically projected India as a bending big brother so that peace can be maintained. As a bending big brother, India would give concessions to all ex-Pakistan without any reciprocal expectation. It was for non-reciprocal accommodation of India's neighborhood. That was the principle in Gujarat Doctrine. Since Gujarat Doctrine, what else? So, India's foreign policy has aimed at helping the neighbors and a peaceful coexistence as evident to the following instances. You can say the Indus Water Treaty, which we signed with Pakistan in the 1960s. Thereby, we share the water of three rivers with Pakistan: Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum. Although these rivers are originated from Indian side, but we agreed to share the water with Pakistan. This shows our concern for our neighborhood countries because without the water flowing from India, half of Pakistan will be deserts. So we have signed this Indus-Water Treaty and thereby share the water of Indian rivers with Pakistan. Then signing the Ganga water with Bangladesh, or it's called the Farakka barrage. The Ganga water treaty with Bangladesh, and we allowed the water of Ganga river to go to Bangladesh to the Farakka barrage. Fine. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Nepal and Bhutan and providing them economic opportunity in India, port access for their trade, etc., can be taken as India's friendly or humanitarian gestures with the neighborhood countries. We allowed them, we developed most of the infrastructure, roads and connectivity, power supply, etc. in the two Himalayan neighbors, Nepal and Bhutan. And in reciprocity, we don't expect anything tangibly from them. Even we allowed the people from these two countries to come and work in India. So no other country in the world allow this free entry of the nationals of from outside to work in the country, but we allowed the people from Nepal to come and work in India. So we provide them economic opportunity. That is what, and access to port also for their trade. Fine. Another development was the exchange of enclaves with Bangladesh. So enclaves are, so this is very important one. Okay, try to understand this. Exchange of enclaves with Bangladesh. So there are 110 Indian enclaves inside Bangladesh and 51 enclaves of Bangladesh inside India. Enclaves are the areas that the people of that country stay inside another country. And because those areas are not taken as part of their territory, the people living over there were unable to get any facility as citizen because they are not treated as the citizen of the country. So no benefit was given to them. But signing this enclave exchange agreement with Bangladesh, so we are able to exchange the enclaves whereby the people of the respective enclaves became the citizen of that particular country where they are geographically located. We are able to sort it out. The long-standing problems of the inhabitants of the enclaves are resolved by the agreement between India and Bangladesh in the recent past regarding exchange of enclaves. Fine. So being the next point is being semi-economically well off, economic aid in the form of loans, grant to Nepal, Bhutan, Afghanistan, construction of infrastructure project like Salman Dam, Parliament House in Afghanistan, highway in Bhutan. So we have done a lot. So no neighboring country can say it with confidence that we have not received any support from India because India has provided them enough of support from finance to food to technology to all other infrastructure developmental activity to most of the country in the neighborhood. We provided technical and economic cooperation programs which have benefited thousands of people, and we allow the students from these countries in the neighborhood to come and pursue higher education in our country. We allow patients from the neighboring countries to come and get treatment in elite Indian institutions. So these all can be considered as humanitarian gestures by India, or it's to negate the allegation that India has been behaving as bullish country over the neighborhood. This is something called in a very negative and derogatory manner. We provided all support for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations, starting from Nepal earthquake to tsunami in Sri Lanka to flood and earthquake in Pakistan and Bangladesh, and even during the crisis for drinking water in Maldives, and recently provided support to Sri Lanka and Maldives as far as food grains are concerned. Okay. India being a dominant economy, making unilateral concessions can help to build trust. Thus, implementing Gujarat Doctrine in true letter and spirit will definitely help India in improving its image. Okay. Low hanging fruits like power sharing, infrastructure projects to improve connectivity and better people to contact in the continent will bring neighbors closer. In the entire South Asian abroad, infrastructure creation has emerged as a very big need of almost all the countries. Most of the countries they need to build infrastructure, and India is investing in infrastructure creation in these countries. This should be done with confidence or after taking the country into confidence and to the benefit of the country where the infrastructure are being created. But at times, so this construction activity by India is alleged at or used by Indian advantage for Indian advantage. Because as it is alleged that all roads of Nepal are being ended with India. Nepalis cannot go outside without taking Indian consent. That is, this sort of apprehensions and fears are to be shut down. The maritime disputes with Sri Lanka over the Kachai-Tibu Island need to be resolved, and the fishermen issues need to be shut out for a lasting solution to the disputes in the relation between India and Sri Lanka. The Tamil cause can be highlighted or should be highlighted by Indians, but with maintaining the prestige or image of the Sri Lankan authority in the international domain because it is their domestic matter. So, India, the people of Indian origin, the Tamils, being at stake, although India has been putting pressure on Bangladesh for a proper devolution of power, but this should be not at the harm to the image of that country because every country is sovereign and in this present world every country must have its own identity and independent existence. The Tista water sharing between India and Bangladesh resolved with consistent talk at high levels. So at present, India and Bangladesh the dispute over the Tista River that needs to resolve at the earliest. So positive development has taken place after successive round of talk with the two sides, and we should feel optimistic that in near future a complete resolution of the issue will be possible. Border disputes with Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan and strengthening of the security to curb terrorism and drug financing lead to will definitely be healthy economies. So we have border disputes with some neighboring country like some disputes with Pakistan, with Bangladesh, with Nepal. Fine. So and cross-border terrorism is the biggest challenge to Indian security. And we very well know that where each or where lies the breeding ground of the Islamic terrorist. If our action or our efforts will be successful in curbing that to some extent, the global community will feel relieved, relaxed, because terrorism is a big threat at present to most of the country of the world. Then reorienting SARC and BIMSTEC will definitely lead to better regional integration and increased trust. So we should try for this because SARC as an entity has been created in the 1985. It has done commendable role, but to teach Pakistan a lesson, India has started maintaining differences and distance from SARC, making it almost non-existence at present. Rather, India is focusing on BIMSTEC. But no doubt, we want to sideline Pakistan in the regional forum and global forum, for which we have been highlighting on BIMSTEC SAP. But an institution created much before the author should not be given such indecent burial in the present period. Conference building measures should be taken up to reduce animosity and encourage person to person contact. People to people contact should be developed. Eminent persons should be allowed to interact. So diplomacy should be at different level, government to government level, government to private level, private to government level. Okay. Track one, track two, track three diplomacy should be utilized for improving the situation. Because this track one diplomacy involves only government functionaries who have big egos with them and who don't want to compromise. But the interaction among the people from both the sides will definitely be on a wider scale, and it will be easier to resolve the issues if the people to interaction contact is strengthened or highlighted. Okay. So India has been an active proponent of a stronger South Asia. However, there are aspirations by neighbors which has led to soured relations. Increased engagement with mutual support can help South Asia be more integrated and a developed region. The neighborhood first policy, which has been highlighted right now, the present government always highlight on the present policy of the neighborhood first. This is very important. This neighborhood first policy. You can say this in this policy of the NDA government. This policy is by the NDA government that came to power and is ruling right now in its second term. So it want to put emphasis on India's neighborhood. So it has come with a policy called the neighborhood first policy. So look east policy has been changed to act east policy in the wider neighborhood, and the present neighborhood first policy, which is being proactively followed by the Indian establishment. So will definitely bring a better improvement in the relation between the countries. So a strong neighborhood with active support will definitely help in strengthening and implementing all the measures and improving India's image in the South Asian region. So students will cover such topics, similar topics in future. Keep on watching and improve your knowledge base to make you equipped for the upcoming examinations. Thank you for watching.